Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final year projects evening of the Industrial Engineering Department at the University of Pretoria. 7 years ago, I had the distinct privilege to be a presenter at this evening. Now, this might look like my glory days, and it definitely was the glory days at the time, but I don't know how many years have to pass before you can actually refer it to as glory days. Now I work as an industrial engineering manager at National Brands Limited, which is part of the AVI Limited group. Tonight I get to be your master of ceremony. Now, as I've mentioned, this evening is a big privilege for everybody here, and albeit just one day in the calendar of the students' life at the University of Pretoria, it is preceded with many years of hard work, sleepless nights, and the occasional blurb of is engineering even for me. But I would like to thank the students, the parents, and their support structure for the perseverance during these years to make it to this evening and make it a reality tonight. Furthermore, I'd like to thank the following organizations for their donations to making this evening possible, namely Pragma, AdCorp, Quincy, First National Bank, Multimedia, Bitfest, International Logistics, and DSV, as well as all the other industries that sponsored project topics for our students. I would like to mention them all tonight, but unfortunately, time just does not permit. Now, rather ironically, on my drive here, I was thinking, in 7 years, how much has actually changed at the University of Pretoria, if anything? And the short answer to that question is a lot. And it's actually no surprise when you think about industrial engineering and all the modules that you do. You can literally find industrial engineers in any industry at the end of the day. And what you can actually look at industrial engineering as is tools in a toolbox. Now, you can actually let your passion drive you wherever you want it. Take your toolbox, and to coin this evening slogan of make today matter, you can make today matter with all your tools. But you also have the right as an industrial engineer to make tomorrow even better. Now, judging on all the posters, even though they were electronic versions, there is a definite chance that our students are going to make tomorrow better. Now, tomorrow better, what does that mean? It can mean anything. Financially better, it can be environmentally better, and socially better. And like I said, judging by the reports, we are definitely hitting these concepts. I would now like to thank the adjudicators for adjudicating all the posters. I just love it when engineers get merry with font sizes, texts, and colors for posters. So real good job, and thank you for the adjudicators for picking the best of the best. I must be honest, I'm really envious of Dr. Pitso Conradi, who managed to work through all the reports and adjudicate each one of them. To even be a few minutes in the minds of our industrial engineering students to see what innovative ideas what they came up with. The insights must be incredible. But more than envious, I want to be thankful that he's taken the time to do this for us. Furthermore, on the notes of thank you, I'd like to thank the following adjudicators for adjudicating the presentations of our projects tonight, namely Mr. Stanley Macmillan, Mr. Freddie Chikala, Dr. Karen Trudeau, Mr. Wessel van Heerden, Dr. Dino Petrolo, and Mr. David Crew Brown. Now, without further ado, I would like to wish our presenters the best of luck tonight. As I mentioned, this is a glory night that you guys will look back at fondly as you represent the Industrial Engineering Department and the University of Pretoria. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to this year's final year presentation, where we get to experience firsthand what our final year students have been working on throughout the year. Through the sweat, through the tears, our final year students have managed to put together some very good projects. So we would like to first of all appreciate our top 14, those who made it to the top 14 selection round. And they are Alessandro Grecia, Almira Abdul Samad, Eduan Lubbe, Genevieve Loubser, Henning van Aswegen, Letlogonolo Molope, Marco Boenstra, Melissa Archibald, Nicole Robertson, Ororiseng Lechabo, Pabalelo Chaba, Sune van Vieren, Travis Brand, and Vickers Robertson. Well done to all of you. This is a clear indication of your hard work. So a panel of adjudicators from the department evaluated our top 14 and they shortlisted the top 6 who will be presenting this evening. And they are Nicole Robertson, Travis Brand, Almira Abdul Samad, Genevieve Loubser, Vickers Robertson, and Henning van Aswegen. Well done to our finalists. We are looking forward to see what you've been working on throughout this year. So tonight, we will have our presenters presenting in the order as shown in the program. We will have our first 3 presenters, then we will have a short interval. Afterwards, we will have our last 3 presenters. So please help me welcome our first presenter for this evening, who will be telling us about an enterprise resource planning solution that she introduced in her sponsoring company. Please help me welcome Nicole Robertson.
At the start of this semester, in our systems engineering module, our professor asked us if we can think of anything that is not a system. After a lot of contemplation and discussion in class, nobody could mention something that is not a system. This concept really emphasized the importance of systems, and specifically the efficiency of systems. So today, I will discuss the ERP system design and analysis for a company called SpeedSpace. Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP systems, is the development of enterprise system software. It is the back-office software that integrates enterprise-wide information. ERP is known as the infrastructure of any organization while managing core business functions like sales, procurement, production, and accounts. SpeedSpace required the analysis of their current ERP system, as it causes a lot of problems for them, taking away from the productive working time of their users. Thus, the main deliverables for today will be first to identify the problems in the current ERP system. Next, to find alternative system solutions and evaluate them and select the best system solution. Then, taking this best selected system solution and comparing the solution to the current ERP system to validate it. And finally, checking the feasibility of the current ERP system and giving recommendations to SpeedSpace. The following is the approach that went on for this project. First, the problem identification in the current system. Next, the requirements discovery phase, where the necessary requirements was discovered from the users. Then, the system selection phase, where the best systems were chosen and selected and evaluated. Finally, after the best system is selected, it was the solution construction phase, where it was discovered what the architecture of the solution system looks like. And finally, the solution validation and evaluation phase. Before discussing the findings, you're probably wondering, who is SpeedSpace? SpeedSpace sells and leases site accommodation and mobile park homes, and much more. Their current ERP system, a simulator, is an ongoing project for the past 2 years. The simulator is customized designed for SpeedSpace operations, and even after 2 years of development, there are still so many problems. These problems takes away about 20% of the workers' productive working time and leaves the users feeling frustrated and tired. Thus, SpeedSpace's inquiry for the analysis of their current ERP system and for any possible suggestions. During the problem analysis phase, the problems in the current system is identified. The techniques used to identify these problems is process modeling, interviews, site visits and observations, and the pieces checklist. A process model was created for each department in SpeedSpace to identify exactly where unnecessary actions take place during operations. A very simplified process model is presented. The boxes with the red circles are identification of where unnecessary actions take place and where time is wasted. In the module, it is identified that a simulator does not automatically check and submit quotes, thus causing redundant work for the users. The following is the main problems identified in the system. The system is not user-friendly, and the users really struggle to understand how the system operates. Next, redundant data is captured frequently, causing errors in future processes. Then, the system cannot integrate with other software, like the accounting software, Evolution Sage Pastel. Thus, the accountant's work is doubled. There is no internal functional communication in the system, and the users have to download external software, like Microsoft Teams, to communicate the operational flow. And finally, the system is at an extreme high cost of 100,000 Rand per month. Speedspace cannot afford a simulator. The following is the non-functional requirements phase. Literature suggests that there is 4 essential non-functional requirements for any system: performance, reliability, supportability, and usability, highlighted in yellow. Literature also suggests 3 other non-functional requirements that deem essential for ERP systems: economical, technical, and schedule feasibility, highlighted in blue. The non-functional requirements was discovered using 2 techniques, the FERPS technique and via interviews. The F in the FERPS technique is for functional requirements, and that will be discussed hereafter. The table lists the final selected non-functional requirements. According to Speedspace, the 3 most important non-functional requirements are supportability, usability, and economic feasibility. Supportability is the main non-functional requirement, as Speedspace directors does not want to struggle while enhancing and repairing the system. Next is the functional requirements phase. Here, the functional requirements was discovered using 4 techniques: the context diagram, the use case model, the entity relationship diagram, and the create, read, update, delete matrix. The table lists the final 10 functional requirements. These include integration between systems and a module for each department. After the problems were discovered and the requirements too, the 14 candidate solutions were selected based on if they cost less than 100,000 Rand per month and if they have extremely good customer service. The 14 candidate solutions was then validated against 14 core requirements. The 14 core requirements is a combination of the functional and non-functional requirements. The table represents how the candidates was eliminated by checking if they meet the requirements. 3 final candidates were selected that met all 14 core requirements: Oryx SDI Business Platform, Syspro ERP software, and Embrace ERP software. To eliminate the 3 final selected candidates and select the best one, the AHP, or analytical hierarchy process, was used. The analytical hierarchy process uses inputs from directors, matrices, and mathematical equations to determine the best possible solution. The analytical hierarchy process suggested that Oryx SDI Business Platform is the best solution for Speedspace's operations. Next is the solution construction phase, where a 5-layered ERP architecture is used, along with an iterative approach to discover how Oryx SDI will work for Speedspace. First, the data layer, of how data will be imported into the system. Next, the data manipulation layer, of how data will be saved in the system. Third, the application and communications layer, of how data will be communicated between systems and between the users. Then, the presentation logic layer. This is where data will be processed and presented in Oryx SDI. And finally, the user layer, of determining how modules can be constructed for each department and how Oryx SDI can construct the data into real-time reporting. Oryx SDI is a web-based application that uses API technology to integrate with different software. Fortunately, Oryx SDI has experience in integrating with Evolution Sage Pastel, the accounting software that Speedspace uses. Then finally, the evaluation and results phase. Oryx SDI underwent validation testing to ensure that it meets all the core requirements. Next was a feasibility analysis, where the net present value and the return on investment techniques were used to compare and check the feasibility of Oryx SDI to a simulator. And finally, RxSDI and Assimilator was compared side to side to determine if RxSDI will solve all the problems that Assimilator causes. The return on investment of RxSDI is almost 94% higher than that of Assimilator. If Speedspace considers to implement RxSDI and eliminate Assimilator, they will save up to 55,346 Rand per month. RxSDI also meets all the requirements, where Assimilator only meets half of the requirements. Finally, the recommendations is for Speedspace to implement the use of RxSDI and eliminate Assimilator. By doing this, they will actually save over a 10-year period, and even through the implementation phase, they will save. If they do not consider this, it is really recommended that they reconsider the cost of Assimilator. This was the ERP System Design and Analysis for Speedspace.
Well done, Nicole. Well done on executing such an effective project and saving the company some good money. And our next presenter will be telling us about an inventory management and facility layout solution that he implemented in his sponsoring company. Please help me welcome Travis Brand.
Don't you just love being able to give your pets a treat, to watch them wag their tails whilst they stare up at you with their puppy dog eyes? Well, it is through the work of pet treat manufacturing companies that this is possible. My project was focused on the optimization of a pet treat manufacturing company, specifically on inventory management and facilities layout. So, let's get the ball rolling. To give a brief background, the company produces various pet treats that range from bones to jerky and tendon chews. Pre-COVID-19, the company operated on an 80-20% split, with 80% of their product being exported globally. However, post-COVID-19, the company realized a 20-80% split, with only 20% of their product being exported, with their new focuses transitioning towards local customers. The customer base is still large, with their product being exported to multiple continents, from Africa to North and South America, Europe, as well as Asia. There were 4 major problems identified at the company, these being that there were no inventory control policies in place, there was often short shipments of customers' purchase orders, there was an inefficient flow of inventory in the packaging department, and there was an unorganized and random storage of these inventory items. The most pressing issue identified, that being of short shipments. Short shipments lead to a loss of potential revenue. This is illustrated in the below graph, with the blue line depicting the customer's orders and the yellow line depicting the actual shipment. There is an evident trend that the customer's orders were often short-shipped. To quantify this value, over the last financial year, a total of 3.8 million rands worth of potential revenue was lost due to these short shipments. The solution was focused on achieving the following aims and objectives, these being a reduction in the amount of short shipments, an increased accuracy of the inventory control policies, an improved efficiency of the packaging department, and an increase in the available storage space. The various stock keeping units were analyzed for a total of 23 different SKUs. The literature identified that the use of 2 indicators is effective in the classification of demand, these being the ADI, which is the lead time between successive demand, and the CV squared, which is the coefficient of variation. Demand may be categorized into 4 types, these being intermittent, lumpy, smooth, and erratic, with the indicators identifying that all 23 SKU items followed a lumpy demand. This analysis was then used as a platform to identify the relevant solutions. 4 solutions were identified and created to address the initially defined problems, these being the creation of a demand forecasting model, the creation of inventory control policies, the creation of a basic production schedule, and an improvement of the facilities layout through the systematic layout planning procedure. These solutions were then integrated together to become one whole solution, with the goal of solving the problems and addressing the aims and objectives. Firstly, a demand forecasting model was created, with the literature identifying 4 relevant techniques, these being an autoregressive integrated moving average, an exponential time smoothing method, Croston's forecasting method, and a 3 and 5 month moving average. Each technique was then evaluated against performance criteria, these being the mean average error, the mean average square error, and the root mean square error, with each forecasting technique being allocated to an SKU. In this case, half the SKUs followed an autoregressive integrated moving average, whilst the other half followed an exponential time smoothing model. This graph depicts the actual versus the forecasted demand, which presented an average percentage accuracy of 68%. This may seem low, however, the accuracy is acceptable for a lumpy demand. The company has 3 classifications of inventory, these being raw materials, consumables, and packaging items. A bill of materials was then created for each item in each category to ensure that the inventory policies would speak to the forecasted demand. As was identified, various inventory control policies were created, these being the safety stock, the maximum and minimum inventory levels, a reorder point, and a reorder quantity. The inventory policies were then paired with the in-house ERP system to ensure for an integrated inventory control system. The demand forecasts and the inventory policies were then used in the creation of a basic production planning model. This model followed a silver meal heuristic approach, which focuses on the reduction of production costs and the generation of a production quantity. The schedule allows for 3 inputs, these being the forecasted demand, the fixed costs for setting up production, and the holding costs for the inventory items. An alternative approach was considered to aid in the inventory management process, this being an EOQ model, an economic order quantity model. This model generates optimal order quantities as well as the optimal ordering points, which are both beneficial for inventory control policies. But the literature identified that for this method to be viable, the variable coefficient of the data needs to be less than 0.2. However, it was realized that all 23 SKU items had a variable coefficient of that greater than 0.2, and therefore this method was not considered to be viable. The current and the proposed layout are depicted, with the proposed layout being the best layout selected from 4 generated alternatives. The proposed layout ensures the storage areas are centralized, whilst the current layout separates these two. The proposed layout utilizes unused space, while the current layout does not. And finally, the proposed layout creates additional space which can be used throughout the packaging department. The red lines you are able to see were generated through an ARC analysis. An ARC analysis was used as an evaluation method. This method, alongside 3 critical criteria, were then used in the final evaluation of the layout. The ARC analysis revealed a score of 71 for the current layout and 90 for the proposed layout, with the literature stating that a higher ARC score leads to a more optimal model. The 3 critical criteria defined were as follows. The layout needed to have an addition of storage space, needed to be scalable, and needed to create a greater organization. The proposed layout allowed for a 55% increase in the storage space and therefore satisfies this criteria. The proposed layout creates a greater utilization of the various areas, which allows for a greater packaging capacity and therefore satisfies this criteria. And finally, the layout created a centralized storage area, which creates a clear flow of the inventory and therefore satisfies this criteria. The demand forecasts paired with the inventory control policies, as well as the production planning model, work in tandem to decrease the short shipments. Over the last financial year, a total of 79 orders were short shipped. However, if the 3 solutions constructs were to be implemented, this would have resulted in 0 shipments being short shipped. This translates to a total of 3.8 million rand of additional revenue. This, however, is not financially feasible, as the company cannot hold inventory of each item in each category, and therefore the fast-moving and high-priority items need to be identified and the solution constructs need to be implemented on these items to ensure for a maximization of the decrease in short shipments. In conclusion, the created solution ensures for a decrease in the short shipments, an increase in the available storage space, and finally the creation of an optimized packaging layout. These 3 items will ensure your pets remain happy and continue to wag their tails.
Well done, Travis. I'm sure our furry friends will be excited to get their treats sooner rather than later. Our next presenter will be telling us about a vehicle routing solution that helps save gas emissions. Please help me welcome Almira Abdul Samad.
Route planning plays a vital role in supply chain and logistics activities, as a shorter and better route can decrease the total time traveled and the distance, which therefore reduces the fuel consumption and greenhouse gases released to the environment. With that said, South Africa has had a sharp increase in emissions as shown in the graph, and has had a recent inflation in fuel prices, which further motivates the need to reduce the route. Company X is a supply chain and logistics business with the aim to keep their supply chains flowing in an ever-changing world. The road and warehousing team consists of a group of engineers that focuses on implementing solutions that create more efficient processes to keep up with the company's sustainable growth. Time studies were done on the routes of one delivery vehicle over various days, where the following problems were noted. The vehicle was spending too much time on the route, the locations were revisited, the wrong location was visited, and the fuel consumption and emissions were higher than expected because of this. The problem to improve the route of a single delivery vehicle with added time constraints fits the nature of a traveling salesman problem with time windows. This problem definition has been used to formulate the solution model and has been the focus in the literature. Using the problem definition and the issues discovered with the time studies, the problem therefore focuses on optimizing the time traveled of a delivery vehicle with greenhouse gas emission penalties. The first step in the methodology was to conduct research for the problem. Initial research was conducted in order to understand the literature at a high level and to understand the nature of the problem. Solution research was then conducted by analyzing case studies that contained various solution methods that are used in the problem. The case studies also aided in providing a background to formulate the mathematical model. The next phase was to analyze the data to be appropriate for the model. The data was cleaned and exported and was directly provided by the company, where time windows and coordinates were extracted to be used in the model and were used to create various maps. In the solution development phase, a mathematical model was formulated in order to understand the logic of the solution. Using this, a solution model was formed using Google OR tools integrated with Jupyter Notebook, and an appropriate algorithm was selected to solve the problem. Various alternative solutions and strategies were tested in the model, and the best outcome was selected. This chosen strategy was then applied to all data sets in the model. The last phase consisted of validating and concluding. The model was verified by using instances of benchmark data to check how close the best known values were to the values produced by the model. The model was then concluded by checking if it has in fact been solved correctly. Real-life data was provided by the company, which contained 4 data sets of a delivery vehicle on one route over 4 different days. This data was originally presented in Microsoft Excel and was exported to Jupyter Notebook, where it was sorted and cleaned. The data was also analyzed in terms of its current time, distance, fuel consumption, and emissions, and this is shown in the bar graph. Using the location coordinates from the data, a time matrix was formed using OpenRoute service integrated with Jupyter Notebook. The time windows were also extracted from the data and were presented as Express, which is delivery before 11 a.m., and Economy, which is delivery before 5 p.m. A map of the current route is also shown using OpenStreetMap, and an example of Dataset 2 has been used to visualize this. A preliminary mathematical model was formulated in order to understand the logic of the program, where the objective was to minimize the total time traveled and to decrease the emissions. This logic was then applied to the solving algorithm in Google OR tools, where the outputs of the data analysis were used as inputs in the model. Multiple solving strategies and algorithms were tested, and the strategy Global Cheapest Arc was chosen as it produced the best results. This strategy works by where two nodes are connected in an iterative manner, which produces the shortest route segment. Other algorithms, such as metaheuristics, which is an approximate algorithm, can also be applied to the model, but it is at risk of a timeout. Therefore, a solution could not be produced. Dataset 1 did show an expected decrease in travel time, but also showed an unexpected increase in distance, therefore an increase in fuel consumption and emissions. A decrease in travel time should have resulted in a decrease in emissions according to the model, which was not true in this case. Therefore, dataset 1 was labeled as an anomaly and was not included in the results analysis. For the rest of the datasets, the results showed that the total time and distance were minimized, and that the total fuel consumptions and emissions were decreased. The bar graphs show the comparison between the data analysis results and the solution results in terms of the total time, distance, fuel consumption, and emissions, where a clear reduction can be seen. The maps show the routes for datasets 2, 3, and 4, where the green route represents the new optimized route, and the blue route represents the current route. The difference here can clearly be seen in how the vehicle travels between the locations. The model was validated in 3 ways. The first being that the data used as input to the solution model was directly provided by the company. Secondly, the solution of the model is valid, as it does in fact decrease the total travel time and emissions. Lastly, the model is validated using instances of benchmark data, where the model values produced were close to the best known values as shown in the line graph. In summary, this project relied on literature and case studies to formulate the traveling salesman problem with time windows, as this provided a background. Additionally, different solution methods in the literature were considered and tested in the model. Visualizations were also shown with the new optimized route against the current route using OpenStreetMap. Other tools, such as Python, Google OR tools, and OpenRoute service were also used in the data and solution analysis. Using the formulation and the tools, the objective to minimize the total time and decrease the greenhouse gas emissions was successfully reached. The model was also validated using benchmark data, which further highlights the solving success. Finally, the implementation of the model can aid the company in reducing their overall transportation cost and can be a base for bigger projects. A possible improvement for this project could be to make use of Google Maps API instead of using OpenRoute service, as this is a more accurate program and is recommended by Google OR tools. Another recommendation is to build cost factors into the model, such as the cost of drivers or workers, the cost of maintenance, and the cost of fuel. These factors can also aid in highlighting the financial feasibility of the model. Thank you.
Well done, Almira, for not only saving the company some good money, but also saving the earth from all those gas emissions. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure after saving the earth from gas emissions, saving our company some good money, and making our companies more efficient, you all agree that it's time for a short interval. So I'd like to invite you to please grab a cold one or a hot one, sit back and relax, and then we'll see you just after this short break.
Good evening and welcome to the final year project evening of 2022. With me, I have the 6 finalists. Congratulations, guys. Tonight, you won't only be competing for the best presenter, but you will also be competing for the ultimate prize of bragging rights. You are divided into 2 teams, and I'm going to ask the competitors to each just introduce yourself and briefly state why you're studying industrial engineering. We can start on that side.
Hello, my name is Nicole Robertson. I chose industrial engineering because of the diversity and because I don't like blood and I don't like books.
Well.
Hi, I'm Genevieve Leibscher. I picked industrial engineering because it's so widely used and you can go in any industry.
Hi, my name's Travis Brand. Similar to these two, I picked industrial engineering just because of the diversity and all the lanes you can go into afterwards.
Hi, my name is Almira Abdul Samad, and I picked industrial engineering because I didn't like chemical engineering. And I like the job opportunities that come with it. They're so diverse as well.
Hi, my name is Vikas Robertson. I chose to study industrial engineering because I like the people. I think industrial engineering has the nicest people, so that's my reason.
Hi, my name is Henning van Aswegen, and I chose industrial engineering because I couldn't get into medicine.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you guys have a bunch of similar reasons. I think if you ask anybody, they most probably have a very similar reason, especially Tarain, but we're not going to get into that. My colleague, Tarain, will quickly just give you guys the rules for tonight's quiz.
So we are playing a quiz with a twist. So you'll first answer the quiz questions that will be presented. Then the first person with an answer must ring the bells you've been given. Now the person who rings the bell must give the answer. If your answer is right, your team gets a point. If your answer is wrong, the other team gets a chance to answer the question. If both teams get the answer wrong, we will go to a knockout round, which will be a round of 30 seconds. So you will draw a card from the glass jar, and the timer will be flipped, and your teammates will have to answer the riddles you give them to guess the correct word on the card. 1 point is for one correct answer. So you only get a point if your answer is correct. Otherwise, sorry for you, it goes to the other team. If your name, that will be all.
Okay. Should we start? Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. The first question, in what year did Dr. Bean finish her PhD? Is it A, 2009, B, 2015, C, 2018, or D, 2019?
2015?
That answer is incorrect.
2018.
That is also incorrect. So we will have our first round of 30 seconds. Nicole, since you answered first, you can pick a card.
Okay, don't open the card yet. Whenever you are ready.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
And go.
It's a technique that we learned in second year. It's part of your project. Visual management. Yeah. Visual management, not the one that you just mentioned. Another number.
Another number? 6 5s.
Yes.
Woo!
Well done.
That was within the allocated time, so your team gets a point.
Congrats. Okay, so the correct answer is actually 2019. So I think Dr. Bean submitted her PhD in 2018, but she only got a degree in 2019.
Okay, next question. How many classrooms are in the Engineering 1 dungeons? A, 4, B, 10, C, 16, or D, 12?
4.
That answer is incorrect.
We're bad at this.
So now you.
C, 16.
That answer is also incorrect.
Wow. Okay.
So the round of 30 seconds and starts.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready. And go.
He was Prof. Yodavali's TA. Yes. Yes. His surname. Yes.
Well done.
Woo! We got that round of 30 seconds. So you guys get a point.
Okay, so 1 point each.
Yes, and the correct answer for how many classrooms there are in the dungeons is 12. Ach, it's 10. Sorry, it's B10.
It's 10.
It's 10 classrooms.
Okay, our third question. What is Prof. Yodavali's initials? Is it A, SSV, B, VVS, C, VSS, or D, VS?
C, VSS.
Well done. That's correct.
answer.
Okay, so we have 2 points on this side and 1 point on that side.
Okay, next question. In what year was the IE department at UP officially established? Answers A, 1963, B, 1974, C, 1975, or D, 1965?
I have no idea.
1965?
Incorrect.
1975. Thank you very
Correct.
much.
That is the correct answer.
Well done.
So 3 points for that team and 1 point for this team.
Okay, the next question. Who has the highest number of publications in our department? Is it A, Prof. Hubert, B, Prof. De Vries, C, Prof. Adetunji, or D, Prof. Yadavali?
Prof. Hubert.
That is incorrect.
Prof. Adetunji.
That is also
That is also incorrect.
So we're doing a 30 seconds round.
Before you open, when you're ready.
All right, I'm ready. Okay, so this is a technique, one of you also used it in the project, where you look at movements of people.
You have to explain to us. The movement.
So you try to minimize the
Monads.
Yes.
Well
Oh,
done.
that is correct.
So what's it? 4-1. You guys must step up. So the correct answer is Prof. Yadavali. And then for a bonus question, did you guys want to guess how many publications does he have?
14.
That is incorrect. Much more. Do you guys want to take a guess?
30?
So he has, in fact, I think 171 publications. Yes.
He is far above the rest of the department, but the rest of the department are in the 60s and 70s in any case.
And they still have time to
Yes.
publish some more. Okay.
Okay, next question. In what year was Engineering 3 opened? A, 2010, B, 2016, C, 2014, or D, 2011?
2060?
That is incorrect.
Incorrect.
2014.
That is also incorrect.
Sorry, guys. Okay, Genevieve.
Round of 30 seconds.
for you.
Are we not good at this?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, go.
He gave us a simulation module, the prof.
Prof. Hubert.
Oh, yeah.
Well done.
Well done. That was very quick.
That was easy.
Okay, so the correct answer, Engineering 3 was opened in 2011.
Well done. And the scores are
The score is
well done.
2 for this team. Woo! And 4 for that team.
Okay, the next question. Who is our department secretary? Is it A, Ms. Bonolo, B, Ms. Nelisa Kunene, C, Ms. Hanley Hallam, or D, Ms. Madeleine van Meyeren?
Hanley Hallam, Miss Hanley Hallam.
Well done, that is correct. So we have 4 on this side and 3 on that side for the scores.
Okay, another building question. In what year was Engineering 4 opened?
2021.
Incorrect.
2022.
Incorrect. The correct answer is 2020.
So
It has already been open for 2 whole years.
okay, so 30 seconds round. Almira, please do us the honors.
When you're ready? Okay, go.
It's also a technique. Similar, like it's a similar like ballpark we did in BPZ, like we did Kaizen, we did also MODAPS, we did visual management, we did Six Sigma. I don't know how else to explain it. And it's an acronym. It can be summarized as an acronym.
What is it used for?
I don't know. Yeah.
How does it help? How do you use it?
That is time up.
You can tell them the answer.
I can't remember what it was used
We
for.
don't really study here, guys.
Okay, so
Different university.
the other team, I can't remember who answered. Nicole, you can take a card.
Whenever you're ready.
I think it's this building. The aula is here. It's the building across the aula. The pretty. I think I said something wrong. I don't know.
I just go on.
It's the building across the aula, right here with the big clock in the middle. What the name of the building?
Isn't it the old art school?
Yeah.
Well done. We can see you guys went on campus for a while. So our scores are actually tied. Well done.
Yeah, well done, guys.
We are 4-4. Our next question, I think it's mine, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So our next question is, who is the Dean of the EBIT faculty? Is it A, Prof. Maharaj, B, Prof. Yaravali, C, Prof. Elof, or D, Prof. Stein? That is incorrect. He's our head of department, but not the Dean of our faculty.
It's Prof. Maharaj.
That is also incorrect. So this is a bit of a trick question. Currently, our acting dean is Prof. Jan Elof. And we will do a 30 seconds round because you guys got that wrong. But this is it. You can't take one out for them.
I gave it to no.
No, it's the old one.
Oh.
I don't mind. Okay, are you ready with the timer, Taran? Ready.
Okay, and go. Okay, so the one she had previously, it's almost the same, but I have no idea what this one is. The first name is different.
Say again.
It's the same building that you had,
Oh yeah.
the same name, but the first name it differs. It has to do,
Something arts building.
yeah,
Visual art.
no. I have no idea what it is, to be honest. It starts with, I don't even know what number of the letter the alphabet, later in the alphabet.
That
I
would
don't
be
know.
time.
No, the Javet. Oh, Javits. I don't
Yeah,
know.
so that's the art gallery just across the road.
The new one that opened a few
yeah.
years ago, just a few years ago.
Okay, you guys also have a chance for 30 seconds. I think, Almira, you answered the question.
What if I don't know it?
Try your best.
I've paused the timer.
Try your best.
Use movements.
No, I can't. I can't.
Is it a pointy?
No. Let me tell you something. I can't explain this.
Okay, do you want to take another one? Okay. Ready?
Yeah. Okay, so under Eng 2, there are a lot of so we have the lecture rooms, and then underneath there's another part of it. What are those?
Are they labs?
Yes. So now this is a name of a specific lab. Okay.
What do we do in labs?
With the blue thing. The 3D build. There's like a 3D board.
Isn't that the mining?
It has 3
lab?
letters. I don't know.
Yes. It's also
ABC.
That would be time.
that is a lab, but it's not this lab.
You guys are quite close. It's actually the VDG labs, so the Vehicle Dynamics group. They have the labs just underneath our department. But you see the board every time you come to our department, don't you?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They clearly never have any perusals, no questions. Okay, so the next question. What type of accent does Prof. Adetuni have? A, Ethiopian, B, Nigerian, C, Kenyan, or D, South African?
B, Nigerian.
Well,
That is correct.
That is correct.
Well done.
I actually think that was our last question.
That was our last question,
So
indeed.
our scores are 5 on this side, 4 on that side.
So well done.
Congratulations.
You guys have won.
You guys won bragging rights for a year. So if your friends tell you you're not allowed to brag, you send them to us. We'll tell them you are allowed to
We'll
brag.
give them the proof that you have bragging rights. You know the most about the department.
Thank you so much for playing, guys. We want to hand over some gifts just as a token of appreciation from the department for all the effort that you guys put in over the last week in preparing for the project evening. And yes, I think your families are tired of your presentations by now. I hope they are. That is all from our side. Thank you so much for listening. Okay.
Yes, it was a fun evening. Thank you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm hoping you're ready to have some more of that groundbreaking research that our final year students will be presenting to us. We will have our last 3 presenters in the order as shown in the program. Our next presenter will be telling us about vertical farming that allows us to farm, instead of outdoors, indoors. Please help me welcome Henning van Aswegen.
Let me ask you, what is a mojito without some aromatic mint leaves? Pasta without Italian herbs? Or a salad without the juicy crunch of some lettuce? As bland as an SWK lecture, that's for sure. Luckily, South Africa is a country where farming has been perfected. Or has it? Let's take a look at traditional farming as we know it. Several hectares of land are used up with varying means of efficiency. Crops soak up thousands of liters of water per day. Herbicides, insecticides, and fungicides are sprayed all over crops, and farmers are lucky if they can harvest more than twice per year. When hearing these facts, the industrial engineering side of us cannot help but yearn for a better, or should I say, more optimized solution. This is where vertical farming comes in. Vertical farming is an agricultural process that utilizes the stacking of plants on top of each other to optimize the amount of crops planted per square meter. A vertical farming system uses up to 98% less water than traditional farming, enables much greater planting densities. It has a harvesting frequency of every 22 to 28 days. It also uses 0 preventative chemicals, meaning the product contains a much higher nutritional value. Vertical farming is also perfectly engineered to be effective in urban areas. This is extremely valuable because it is estimated that by 2050, South Africa's urban population will be 80%. This means the demand for fresh produce in urban areas will increase exponentially, and meeting this demand will be easier having a large-scale supplier only a few blocks away. Deltabek, the industry sponsor for this project, saw the value of creating a large-scale indoor vertical farming business. However, vertical farming as a science is still very young, and little is known about how to implement it in an economically feasible way. Thus, the following questions needed answering before this business venture could be pursued. What is the optimal cultivation method? Which plants should be used? What is the best vertical configuration? Is this operation financially viable? And what is the best layout for such a facility? These questions collectively made up the project's main problem. Can this business be profitable? And if yes, how does one achieve this profitability? The aim of the project was thus to deliver a development plan which answers the above-mentioned questions and details the steps to creating a profitable, large-scale vertical farming business. 3 main research objectives were identified. Identification of the optimal vertical farming practice in terms of cropping methods, development of decision models to analyze the financial viability of the operation, and development of an optimal facility layout for the operation. My approach to solving each objective included the following techniques: literature review, market analysis, and comparative analysis to analyze the best practices and identify the optimal solution. Optimization modeling to calculate the optimal combination of crops, and financial modeling to analyze several scenarios and identify the most financially feasible solution. And lastly, facility layout planning, using industry leaders' examples and lean principles to design and analyze different scenarios, out of which a final solution is chosen. The vertical farming cropping methods were divided into 3 sections worth investigating: crop selection, system configuration, and cultivation methods. The crop selection included leafy vegetables, herbs, fruity vegetables, and berries. The preferred crops for the chosen solution are lettuce, basil, mint, parsley, and coriander. These crops were chosen above the alternatives because of their well-established growing methods within vertical farming, as well as their demand. These herbs are popular all around the world, which makes it easier to find alternative markets if the need arises. Lettuce comes in different species and is the most sought-after leafy vegetable, meaning the demand and the market is not as unpredictable as it can be with other crop species. The system configurations under investigation were cylindrical growth units and horizontally stacked units. These were compared using the following criteria: smallest installation cost, best ease of use, compatibility with chosen crops, least maintenance, and best productivity. The horizontally stacked system resembles most warehouses, making it easier to judge the effectiveness of a potential facility, as well as simplifying production processes. Literature also shows that this method delivers a far more uniform yield than cylindrical growth units. The cultivation methods under investigation included hydroponics, aeroponics, and aquaponics. These are evolved agriculture systems which use nutrient-rich water instead of soil to feed the plants. The water is continuously circulated and enriched, meaning you use up to 98% less water than in traditional farming. The cultivation methods were compared along the same criteria as before, and it is clear that a horizontally stacked units and hydroponic system outperform their competitors and are thus chosen as the optimal practices. The first decision model is a linear programming optimization model, which was coded using Python. This model uses the selling price and market demand of each chosen crop type to efficiently maximize income. The model then shows the percentage of each crop required to achieve this income. Weight constraints were added to force the model to choose a variety of crops, thus ensuring market security. Alternative scenarios were analyzed, and the optimal combination of crops was identified as 40% lettuce, 5% mint, 10% basil, 20% parsley, and 25% coriander. A detailed financial model was constructed which incorporates all the known revenue streams, operational and capital expenditures. The model then used the given financial data to calculate several key performance indicators with which a scenario can be analyzed and compared. The 4 cases under investigation were purchasing a building and purchasing a generator, renting a building, and finally renting a building and purchasing a generator. Firstly, the model was run for a simulated time of 1 year at a 100% yield level. From the results, it's very clear that Case 3 and Case 4 outperform Case 1 and 2. The fact that they have much higher ROIs, lower payback periods, higher interest cover, and greater net profits makes Case 3 and Case 4 clearly stand out as the 2 main competitors for the final solution. The second simulation comprised of a cash flow analysis of Case 3 and 4, spanning over 5 years. The comparison also introduced differences in yield to analyze a best case, expected case, and a worst case scenario. The ROI and the IRRs are the only KPIs that showed significant differences. Case 3 performs well under all yield circumstances, but does not accommodate for load shedding or power outages. Electricity supply is one of the most important factors in a vertical farm, because without LED lighting, no crops will grow. Case 3 is thus exposed to a lot of risk and left without any means of mitigation. Case 4, on the other hand, does accommodate for load shedding and power outages. Case 4 sacrifices small margins in terms of KPIs, but mitigates most of the risks. It was therefore assumed that Case 3 would permanently operate between the worst and expected levels, and Case 4 would permanently operate between the expected and the best case levels. Once the cases were compared through this point of view, case 4 became the clear winner and was chosen as the final solution. This brings us to the final objective. A well-designed facility layout enables an operation to run efficiently and optimally. Industry leaders' examples and lean principles were used to eliminate waste and encourage an optimal production environment. 3 different layout plans were constructed in order to be analyzed and compared to ultimately identify the optimal layout solution. Alternative 3 promoted a fast and efficient operational flow, with short direct paths to the next step in the production line. This layout provides sufficient space for equipment such as a pallet trolley and a scissor lift to be used simultaneously and ensures a productive work environment. Therefore, it was concluded that Alternative 3 would serve as the final facility layout solution. In conclusion, the solving of these 3 objectives provided the building blocks of a detailed development plan for a large-scale vertical farming operation. Using horizontally stacked units in a hydroponic system with lettuce, mint, basil, parsley, and coriander will ensure that maximum yield levels can be produced. Using the optimal crop combination in a scenario where a building is rented and a generator is purchased will enable consistent profits whilst mitigating risk. Finally, putting all this together in an optimized layout such as Alternative 3 will provide an efficient operational flow. I think it's time we all go enjoy that mojito now, so thank you for listening.
Well done, Henning. I'm sure after all that hard work, we agree you should grab that mojito. Our next presenter will be telling us about an incentivization solution that showcases IE techniques in the banking sector. Please help me welcome Vickers Robertson.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I am proud to present my final year project. This presentation will guide you through the process of developing an incentivization solution to improve transactional revenue in an open banking environment. TrustLink Payment Network is a proudly South African company situated in Pretoria that specializes in secure data transmissions and system integration. The company's main services include cash management solutions and payment gateways for businesses and enterprise resources on multiple national banking platforms. TrustLink also developed its own open banking environment called CHIPS, used by several clients for bank-agnostic transactional services and the safekeeping of funds. Open banking is a concept that refers to the financial practice where third-party payment providers such as TrustLink have access to consumer banking information. This information includes transactional data and other financial data provided by banks and other financial institutions. CHIPS allows TrustLink to securely facilitate payments within a closed-loop system, while open-loop transactions are facilitated through the integration with traditional third-party payment providers in the financial and banking space. InstaPay is a suite of secure payment instruction mechanisms and funds manager solutions that allow businesses to establish a private peer-to-peer payment network between the InstaPay Money Manager account and their counterparties. InstaPay Money Manager is a web portal that is designed to give merchants access to these InstaPay accounts where they can create, receive, and make payments. This portal also offers additional functionality, such as bulk payments, cash voucher issuing, and the managing of payment acquiring devices or card machines. InstaPay as a product struggled to gain sufficient market penetration, and growth slowed down to unacceptable levels. This project was initiated by the company after losing one of its largest customers in terms of transactional volume. It was determined that this client mainly used the InstaPay network for card-present payment acquiring before transferring the funds to their own bank account. Existing clients still make use of traditional banking facilities, even though the product offering has significantly more features and functionality than what is offered by the competitors. Looking at an extract of system data from 2021, card receipts attributed to about 67% of fee income. The main problem, highlighted by the behavior of key clients, is that they only use a very limited amount of system capabilities, which results in suboptimal transactional revenue. Payment acquiring is only a small component within the spectrum of services offered by TrustLink as a TPPP and financial aggregator, but merchants still choose to opt for traditional banking services. The nature of the problem therefore stems from the fact that TrustLink cannot compete with other banking institutions using its current business model. This project aims to improve transactional revenue by luring customers away from market competitors, attracting new customers, and changing the behavior of existing clients to utilize more of the product's rich functionality. A thorough literature review was conducted to identify appropriate knowledge areas and industrial engineering techniques to guide the application of the project approach. Problem analysis techniques that proved to be useful for this project include interviews, a business model canvas review, a root cause analysis, and a pieces analysis. Solution requirements were discovered and documented through structured group sessions guided by joint requirements planning principles. Business process modeling and notation was effectively implemented in this project by modeling the 2B application processes. Solution components were prioritized and a cost-value analysis was performed to decide whether to outsource development or use in-house resources. Various software development techniques and coding languages were used to create an application capable of executing the business model principles. Both solution components were evaluated to ensure that they will contribute positively towards solving the identified problems. The solution consists of two major solution components, namely a business model that will incorporate a balanced pricing structure to the benefit of small and larger organizations, and a system solution that will incentivize merchants and system users to utilize a wider range of capabilities. A simple ranking method was used to prioritize the development of the solution components. The business model receives a higher ranking priority, although it should be noted that there exists an interrelationship between the two components. Any external or organizational changes will influence the business model, and this will in turn influence how the application should function. To combat cheaper market alternatives, TrustLink will offer each merchant a free card machine. This will attract smaller businesses and increase transactional volumes. Qualifying merchants will also receive a cashback incentive based on their transactional behavior. This fee rebate will lower the effective transactional rates. For example, the effective rate on card transactions can be as low as 1.4%. The software application tool was developed using R and RStudio combined with a package called Shiny. The application calculates the rebate value and creates a CSV payment file to facilitate monthly payments to merchants. The calculations are dynamically based on the principles governed by the business model, and this can be easily altered as needed. The rebate calculation is based on the transactional behavior of the merchant. TrustLink agreed to offer a maximum of 30% discount on transactional fees, provided that all criteria are met. A maximum of 15% discount can be earned based on the value of transactions resulting from payment collections and receipts. A maximum of 7.5% discount can be earned based on the ratio between the merchant's turnover and their average daily balance. And lastly, a maximum of 7.5% discount can be earned based on the number of services or system capabilities that were utilized during this time period. Please note that for the purpose of this demonstration, dummy transactional data will be displayed and sensitive client information will be hidden. When you open the InstaPay Rebate app, a message box appears with a few instructions on how the app functions and how to use it. On the homepage of the app, a summary of all the merchants and their transactional behaviors are shown. You can go through the list and decide which of the merchants you want to include in your payment file or not. If you would like to see more information about one specific merchant, you can select the merchant and go to its detail page. This detail page will give you a detailed description of the merchant's transactional behavior during the time period selected on the homepage. This detail page includes the business information, their discount breakdown, and a detailed list of all the services they used during this time period. The merchant's daily balance graph is also shown to visualize the merchant's spending habits. The user can decide to include or exclude this merchant from this page as well. If you go back to the home page, there is a button that says Select All. All the qualifying merchants will be selected with this button. The only user input the app requires is a unique batch identifier. After the batch identifier is entered, a CSV file can be created with the Create CSV button at the bottom. The summary block provides the user with an overview of the CSV file contents. Once the CSV file is saved, it can be uploaded to the company's InstaPay Money Manager account, where the rebate payment will be actioned to the merchants. The solution components can be validated by verifying them against the improvement objectives. The business model was evaluated by a thorough model comparison, taking into account factors like value proposition, incentives, cost, social implications, implementation effort, as well as marketing. The software tool can be evaluated with a proposed software evaluation checklist that is aligned with the functional and non-functional requirements. An internal solution review is supplemented by test cases and functional testing where stakeholder feedback was considered. The response was overwhelmingly positive as all the improvement objectives were met. In conclusion, this project aimed to improve transactional revenue by influencing merchant behavior for wider open banking capability usage. This solution will be creating value tailored to the company's business needs. Moreover, it offers a major cost benefit and contributes positively towards risk management. Thank you for your attention.
Well done, Vikas. It's interesting how we can use IE techniques even in the banking industry. Our next presenter will be telling us about how she improved the efficiency of a repair service company. Please help me welcome Genevieve Loubser.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. In this presentation, I'm going to guide you through the repair service of an air conditioning company, the problems they encounter on a daily basis, and the improvements that were made in order for them to reach their goals and accomplish their vision. Let me, however, start by explaining the context in which this project was executed in. Centrotech is an accredited South African service provider specializing in air conditioning repairs, installations, and maintenance, and is situated in Johannesburg. Their business model is centered around excellence and customer satisfaction as they go above and beyond to meet their customers' requirements. Before delving into what the problem is that Centrotech wishes to address, it's important to first understand what the compressor repair process comprises of. This process consists of transporting the faulty compressor to the workshop, stripping the compressor, ordering the necessary parts, repairing the compressor, and installing the compressor back onto site. This process has an average repair lead time of 89 days. This is problematic for Centrotech since the clients are unsatisfied with this service. Centrotech wishes to achieve a compressor repair lead time of 47 days, as they believe that this is a reasonable time. Thus, the aim of this project is to reduce the compressor repair lead time by improving the efficiency of their repair service. Gemba walks and process flow analysis was conducted in order to identify the problem areas responsible for this ineffective repair service. The following problems were identified. There's a lack of organization and standards in the working area. There's insufficient procedures in place. There's health and safety problems that needs to be addressed. And there's an inefficient ordering process. The PDCA methodology was used to execute this project. The PDCA methodology helped in analyzing the various problems, implementing and developing the various solution strategies, and to evaluate whether these solution strategies will meet Centrotech's targets. An impact effort matrix was used to prioritize these various solution strategies and to see which solution strategy would best fit Centrotech. The impact was measured relative to the targets set by Centrotech, whereas the effort was measured relative to the amount of time and money it will cost to implement the various solutions. The solution strategies in the Easy Wins quadrant were implemented. The first problem identified at Centrotech was the lack of organization and standards in the working area. To address this problem, 6S, visual management, and a QR code system was developed. 6S ensured that only the necessary items are stored in the workshop area and that the retrieval of these items are easy. As you can see on the figure, the shelves are organized, neatly packed, and labeled, The workbench area is cleaned and only occupied with the compressor that's currently being worked on. The floor is repainted, giving the area a more aesthetic look. Visual management was used to make it easier for the workers to identify the necessary tools needed to conduct work. As you can see in the figure, 6S ensured that the area is organized and that there's more available working space for the workers, whereas visual management made it easier for the workers to identify the necessary tools to conduct work. Another example where visual management was used was in the storing of parts in containers. This was done by showing an example of the part being stored in the container at the front of the container, making it easy for the workers to identify the necessary parts. By doing this, it also utilizes the available space much more effectively. A QR code system was also developed for Centrotech, since the yellow tag system used previously was ineffective in keeping track of the compressor's movement throughout the process. A QR code was placed on the compressor as well as on the box containing the corresponding parts for that compressor. This helped in the identification process as well as keeping track of the compressors throughout the process. The second problem identified at Centrotech was the insufficient procedures that are in place. This is causing space-constrained problems for Centrotech due to the piling up of old compressors and the piling up of trash on their premises. To address this problem, Centrotech's service contract was updated to include a section regarding the disposal of compressors when a client didn't approve a repair. By doing this, Centrotech has the right to dispose of these compressors as they see fit. To address the problem of trash piling up at the premises, a waste removal procedure was implemented. Bins were allocated to specific wastes such as plastic, paper, and general waste. An area was also allocated for the accumulation of metals. Whenever these bins are full, a pickup truck will take these wastes to the appropriate locations, whereas whenever the allocated area of metals are full, a trailer would be hired to take it to the scrapyard. The third problem identified at Centrotech was the health and safety concerns that needs to be addressed. The first problem identified was the painting of compressors that was currently taking place inside the workshop area, where there's no sufficient ventilation. To address this problem, a painting station was developed outside, where there's sufficient ventilation as stipulated by the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Another problem identified was the use of lifting equipment when transporting the compressors. To address this, a lifting equipment checklist was developed so that the workers can check the stability, the strength, and the suitability of the equipment before using it. The last problem identified at Centrotech was the inefficient ordering process. This order process has an average lead time of 81 days. It takes Centrotech 25 days to send out quotes to customers and 12 days to order the necessary parts needed to do a repair. The reason for this is because there's no urgency to send out quotes and order parts. Other activities take precedence, leaving these activities to be forgotten about. To address this problem, targets were set and incentives were developed in order to motivate the employees to do these activities as quickly as possible. To further reduce the ordering lead time, Centrotech suppliers were analysed and evaluated to see which suppliers have the longest delivery lead times and if they can be replaced by suppliers with shorter lead times. The Pareto analysis was used to identify the suppliers that needs to be replaced. Lastly, a database was developed stipulating exactly which supplier stocks the right parts for a specific unit. The reason for this is because Centrotech spends a lot of time looking for the right supplier that stocks the right part for a specific model. Process flow analysis was conducted to see whether these solution strategies addressed the problem. The before and after results were compared, and it resulted in the following. The compressor repair lead time decreased from 89 days to 44 days, showing a 50.56% improvement. The target that Centrotech set of 47 days was also achieved. Variable control charts were used to see whether the process is in statistical control. It resulted that the process is in statistical control and the only variation present in the system is due to common causes. From this result, it is clear that this project was a success. Future recommendations may be for Centrotech to develop a loading and unloading area. This would add additional structure to the company. It would also make it more visual when a compressor is waiting to be worked on and when it's ready to be taken back to site. Centrotech can also consider using a management system to manage their projects, allocate tasks, and check the performance of their workers. And lastly, Centrotech may consider keeping stock on their premises. This will reduce the amount of time spent on waiting for parts to be ordered and to be delivered, and will also protect the company against future supply chain disruptions. Thank you.
Well done, Genevieve. We can see the big difference that you made because you implemented some good IE techniques in that factory. Well, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our presentation segment. And we would like to invite our potential sponsors to please head on over to our website, where you will get more information about how you can become a sponsor for the 2023 projects. This helps our students to have good topics to work on for the year. And now we will invite our head of department, Professor Sarma Yadavali, who will take us into the award ceremony. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. A wide round of applause and thanks to all the participants who made the event a memorable one. Firstly, let me congratulate all the students who made their presentations today. These 6 have been selected from the top 14 students. On behalf of the Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our sponsors for this evening, who have been sponsoring this event for many years. Thank you for all your support, sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud of my colleagues who were also the project supervisors. Of course, we do have a few external supervisors, and for their effort in helping the students in the projects throughout the year. Well done, colleagues and the external supervisors. I wish to thank all our external examiners for examining these projects. Thank you. Thanks are also due to Professor Marnay de Vries, the project coordinator in the department, who managed the entire year extremely well. Thank you, Marnay. Thank you, Elizabeth Olivier and Terrain Lutz, for organizing a fun session during the break. Well done. Sincere thanks to Dr. Peter Conradi, who adjudicated the top 5 project documents. Special thanks go to Hanley and Bonolo, our departmental administrators, for all their effort in the arrangements of today's function. We have a special gift for you.
Hanley and Bonolo, from the department side, we just really want to thank you for all your effort and hard work to making the project evening a success. So here's a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you can keep it alive.
Thank you.
Last but not least, I wish to thank Johnny and his team from Multimedia for their professional service in realizing today's webinar. Before I announce the winners, I would like to acknowledge one person and say hardest goodbye. This person has been an excellent teacher and researcher. He has been with the department for more than 20 years. This is none other than Professor Johan W. Joubert. Almost all of you know Johan. It feels like yesterday when Johan just started his teaching career. 20 years is an easy number to say, but once pondered upon it, there is a dedicated effort behind it. He successfully supervised a good number of master's and doctoral students. Johan will be taking up an appointment in Europe. The department misses you, Johan. There are no words to express our feelings, Johan, but it is our responsibility to express our sincerest gratitude by saying thank you. Thank you, Johan. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, now comes to the announcement of winners. There are 3 categories of prizes we announce in each category. The first category is the poster presentation. The second is the project document, and then the project presentations. First up, poster prize winners. The second runner-up is Christian Gentil. The first runner-up is Vikas Robertsa, and the winner is Astrid Burgess. There are 5 documents which have been adjudicated. The authors for these 5 documents are Astrid Burgess, Henning van Aswegen, Mia Herritz, Michael Forrester, Fabelelo Shaba. Next up, document prize winners. The second runner-up is Astrid Burgess. The first runner-up is Mia Herritz, and the winner is Henning van Aswegen. Now coming to the presentation prize winners. These 6 presenters today presented: Nicole Robertson, Travis Brand, Almira Abdul Samad, Henning van Aswegen, Vikas Robertsa, Genevieve Lobster. The second runner-up is Genevieve Lobster. The first runner-up is Travis Brand, and the winner is Henning van Aswegen. Congratulations to all the winners. The breakaway rooms are now open, so enjoy the networking. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of the evening. Good night.